So purchase product. Are you using purchase product? Why or why not? If so, what types? Success, challenges. If you're apprehensive about starting with purchase product, why? I'll kind of start out with what we do. We purchase Green Sheen and Visions paint along with Omaha Distributing paint supplies. We tried their doorknobs for a very short while and found out they were not a good product. So we did away with that. And then when I went to the East Coast conference, I got on board with the Dual Textiles, and I carry a line of their rugs. I quickly found out that it's very hard to sell a rug unless you can display it. And I just recently was donated a massive hanging carpet rack. So all we have to do is paint it and get that installed, and hopefully sales will pick up on the carpets. But as far as apprehensive, my director before me was extremely apprehensive about carrying purchase product. It was supposed to all be donations. And I totally agree that that's what we are based on. But in looking forward, there's a huge market in purchase product that can certainly help us out and get that mainstay type stuff, light bulbs, paint, what have you. So like to hear other people's.
I'll go ahead and go, Scott. So we also carry Visions paint. We were using Lee Jones and Associates for the paint sundries, but that switched over to Great Lakes. We used them one time, wasn't that great. I'm using them again. The second time, I'm going to give them another chance and see how it goes. And then if they don't do good this time, I'll go ahead and switch to Omaha. Same kind of thing. My previous CEO was it took me 3 years to convince him to buy anything other than paintbrushes. And we did we're now on our second load of appliances from Lowe's. So we have all the scratch and dent stuff from them, Lowe's or Costco. One was Lowe's, one was Costco. It was pretty good. The first time we got it, there were several that were really damaged that were just, no one was ever going to buy them. But the second time we ordered, it was really good. They're really good quality. And I found that with the appliance loads, the best selling items I have out of those are the refrigerators. So whenever I'm trying to buy the appliance loads, I'm trying to buy the ones that are heavier on a number of fridges than dishwashers or washing machines. I will say though, I'm a part of the HFHI ReStore Expertise Hub, which just started again a new year. I'm on the marketing task force. We had our meeting yesterday, yesterday, and we were discussing. They were asking us what we would like to see. They showed us the HFHI store, the Habitat store, where you can buy, swag and that kind of thing that's extremely overpriced. Which I made them very well aware of that, we're not going to buy a $30 t-shirt when I can buy 100 for $300. So, they asked for some suggestions of things. And I said that maybe we should look into doing group buys as a whole, or even if it was regional and we all wanted to get things cheaper, we can say, hey, we're going to order, 2,000, of something, and we get it a lot cheaper than we normally would. So that might be something that's coming out soon. I also asked them to make us some branded tape measures that we can buy for really cheap, because I know those always do really well at our store. Yeah, that's just something that might be coming down the pipeline.
Nicholas, do they discuss gift in kinds in that meeting? Like stuff that International's picking up and basically gifting out to the different stores?
No, they didn't. No, we didn't. Not this one, but I can bring that up next meeting. Yeah, that's a good question. I know a lot of the gifting, like we haven't really received any of the gift in kind stuff from HFHI. All the stuff I've seen on there that's, gift in kind is stuff that we can't sell in the stores. It's only stuff that we can use for our job sites or tools that have to be used by the construction guys, that kind of thing.
I can go next. I have not done purchase product at all. Something old school, for years, it's just something we didn't do, relied on your donated product. But definitely over the last year or two, I'm leaning more closer to it. I'm seeing people are doing very well with that. So I am interested in learning more about it and maybe stepping in there. So that's why I was very interested in today's meeting. I think my concern mainly is I don't know what the percent of your sales can come from purchase product. What are your limitations so you don't lose your nonprofit status?
I'll jump in there. From HFHI, they recommend no more than 15%.
Okay.
They
Okay,
actually have a lot of information on my habitat. And I'll tell you, we carrying, like I said, the visions, the green sheen, the carpets, and the paint product, I fall well below that 15% threshold.
Okay.
And because that was a definite concern with us as well, as it is with everybody, I would imagine. But you can always limit how much you carry, and
Gotcha.
make sure that it always stays below that threshold. And like I was saying before, we decided to start carrying it because it keeps that mainstay product in there. And
Right.
when people are remodeling, they're going to want paint. They're always going to want light bulbs, stuff like that. Beyond that, I don't see any reason to carry any other paid product unless your store is going to that model of carrying a lot of paid product and willing to pay that percentage of tax.
Right. Yeah.
Just my
Okay.
opinion.
Yeah. No, that's good advice. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We do purchased product. We do Dadule rugs and sheets, sets. We moved away from their flooring because we used their flooring in a home that we were building and it was not good quality. So we went to Cover Source, which is great. And if you guys that do buy it, I mean, Bain is amazing to work with and very quick. And then we do Visions paint as well. And then we'll also do like Merchandise Solutions, spray paint, because spray paint does amazing here in Southern California, unfortunately, for other reasons probably than what it's meant to be. And then, if we see something every once in a while, the paint supplies, etc., we will do that as well. And then we also have the kitchen cabinets from US Cabinets that we offer as custom cabinets, which is amazing. But even with those few things, we are well under the 15%. And I think we talked about this at some point on one of the other calls that we had. When I went to go to the LRS meeting in Austin last year, I think it was last year, they have a couple stores that have millions of dollars in purchased product, and I didn't know how they got away with it. And I actually talked to Megan about it, and she said they don't really monitor it, but if they're, accountant, etc., that's ultimately up to them to make that decision. But it's very scary to see how much purchased product they had in there. So I think just to have Nick said those staple items, or with Scott in your store, because they come back for it on a pretty consistent basis. And you talk about the rugs that it's hard to, sell them if they're not on display. We actually had a Dadule rack that we could hang them from and display them. Surprisingly enough, we were running out of room, so we had to take that rack down and we laid them flat in an area, and they sold like instantly. And I can't even keep them in stock any longer. We also have mattresses. Yes, we also do sell mattresses as well. But we don't keep stock in it. It's the customer pays for it and this company delivers it on every Tuesday and Thursday. So that's worked out really well.
What company is the mattresses through?
Maxim, Maxim. And they're not refurbished. They're brand new, good quality. They have 3 types: low, medium, high end. with the little plush pillow top on it. And we probably sell, I mean, in 2 weeks, we'll sell $3,000 worth of mattresses.
Where's the company located, Miriam?
I think they're
They're, they're here in Southern California.
There.
yeah, I think Wendy from the Ventura affiliate also uses them. And she also at the Simi Valley store, the Oxnard store, they lay their rugs flat also, and she said they do really well with that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but they laying flat and they just like pick through them and they sell great. And we only carry one size. We only carry the 5x8 size. And, you know, 3 or 4 different styles, and then that's it. And the cabinet, we have a display at each store. So I feel like that kind of helps people go and kind of get an idea of what the cabinets will look like. We get pretty good. Yeah. There's a good markup for us on those.
On the cabinet. Cool. Anyone else doing purchase product?
We don't do anything quite of this magnitude. We use Visions as well, and the people that use Visions, they love it. I'm sure you guys have the same experience. They keep coming back for it, which is great. The thing we've recently tried is there's a small company who makes it's chalk paint, but it's not like chalk paint for your walls. It's like furniture paint. And so they make it locally here down in SLO County, and we have displays at both of our stores. I don't think that the sales have been that great for it, but it's just like another like good local partnership for us to at least have it. But it is really funny when someone brings the paintbrush up to the front, and because they're like boar's hair bristled brushes, and they're not ReStore prices, so there's a little bit of
yeah,
you know, that's probably the biggest issue. And I don't know why they haven't really done a lot of purchase product before, but I mean, I think that some of the, especially rugs, like we don't take like used rugs at all, like anything like that. And we have people that look for them. So I love the rug idea and the mattress idea. I'm going to be presenting those for sure.
We just started doing the green sheen not too long ago. It's like I'm on my second shipment of the green sheen right now. For us, it's more or less trying to figure out how much space to designate for it, for the square footage, for what we're seeing on the return on it. Hasn't been a great sell through. It seems like certain colors are the ones that are flying off the shelves, but I'm getting stuck with the the whites, the creams, the things like that. So we're still waiting to hear a lot more on customer feedback on those as well. Gassing off. I've heard you guys mention Vision. I've never heard of Vision paints. How do you guys think they compare to the green sheen?
So it's funny that you say you're selling the colors, because I have the opposite effect. My whites and my Swiss coffees and bone whites fly off the shelves, and I can't get rid of the caribou browns and the forest greens. So yeah, that's pretty fun.
It's with us, it kind of goes in waves. The whites, the bone whites, and the Swiss coffees have always been the big sellers. Same thing with green sheen, the whites, the cream. Those are a huge thing. As far as Visions paint, Jerome, I can give you my email and I can send you that information. Christina is our sales rep, and we've been with her for forever. Absolutely love them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to speak negative against Green Sheen, because I just got on board with them. The only thing I have an issue with is their ordering process, because I'm always running out as I'm supposed to, I get my shipment as I'm supposed to be reporting. So it always looks like I have numbers, but yet I'm always out. Visions, you purchase it up front and you can order whatever you want. So long as you're over a 200-gallon minimum, they ship for free.
Yeah, and Christina will tell you the breakdown of, how many 5 gallons they can fit on a pallet versus how many 1 gallons or how many combination or all that stuff.
Yeah, they just opened up right next to us here in the next city over from one of our stores. They bought Montage Paint.
Oh, wow.
And and so they just right here in Azusa, California, they just opened up a whole new warehouse and processing plant, so we can get it in like 2 hours.
Wow, that's cool.
That must be nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
I usually get ours in about a week turnaround, whereas Green Sheen is about 2 to 3 week turnaround.
Yeah. Usually if I order on Monday with Visions, I get it on Friday. So about a
We're
week.
using Green Sheen in Florence, but we're a small store. We start talking about laying rugs out flat. Yeah, I don't have that type of room. We're in a town that's less than 10,000 people, so we don't have any big companies like Lowe's or Home Depot or anybody like that around us to help us out. So we started doing new products simply because we needed to diversify our stock on what we had and what we could sell. Just relying on the donations. Mind you, we have some very generous people here in Florence when it comes to donations. We get a lot of stuff that are donated to us as free, but it's actually coming from private citizen. Joe homeowner got too much paint or something like that. We started doing Green Sheen. The ordering process is a pain in the backside for us too. But we do a lot of paint supplies. We were going through Lee Jones. Haven't done anything since they switched over. I'll see how they do with us. We stopped doing Omaha because everything we were getting from them was well, I won't say everything, but a lot of the stuff we were getting from them was just garbage. It was that stuff that was just falling apart and breaking before it even made it to our store and stuff like that. They're pretty good with taking care of it, but it's still stuff that we just had to send back to them. We're looking at right now whether we're going to find someone else. We'd really like to find a different wholesaler. We got Silveris that we've been getting stuff from. We got some butcher block countertops from them. They're 8 foot long, sell them for $300 a piece. And in a town of 10,000, we've gotten 4 shipments from them, 2 pallets each. So apparently a lot of people like butcher block in this town. But we do carry some new goods that we are getting from other ReStores in the area that are close to like the True Values warehouse. Anytime they recycle or redo some wrapping on their product or some merchandising on their product, instead of repricing their stuff, they just donate it to one of the ReStores here, and they get so much they can't do anything with it, so they give it to us. But it's low. It's where you're at and how much you can feasibly do. I'm not going to do a section of mattresses because it just won't fit in my store. I need a bigger store. That's what I need. I need a bigger store. But the stuff like the paint goods, that stuff flies off the shelf. We're constantly buying more paint goods. So, and it keeps us down below. We're well below the 15%. And I would carry more new goods. It's just a case of not having the space for it. But that's where we're at. Next.
I'm glad to hear about the butcher block because I was kind of hesitant to get that. I thought it was kind of expensive, but we are here next to some big box stores. I think Home Depot sells a 6 foot one for like $149 or something. So
yeah, Home Depot actually sells theirs for like $20 cheaper than us, but you have to travel 50 miles to get to Home Depot.
there you go. Yeah.
And I just tell everybody, okay, if you buy it from Home Depot, you're supporting a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. You buy it from us, you're helping the local community and getting people into houses that couldn't afford to buy a house otherwise. So I get a lot of buy-in simply because of who we are.
Yeah.
I was curious from an outsider's perspective, you know, how do you make that first step to get purchased product? You know, it sounded like some folks had trouble maybe convincing other staff or, you know, their CEOs or whatnot. I was just curious what those conversations look like and how we can support folks who maybe haven't had those conversations.
I think the challenge I had was when we did our first appliance order was trying to talk our CEO into dumping, you know, $25,000-$30,000 on you know, one truckload of stuff. Is a big chunk of money, especially if you don't know how the program is going to perform. But we did pretty well with the first truckload. So our second truckload did even better.
I would say for us, simply just as much as I hate to say it, I went around my ReStore director at the time and went straight to our executive director, and I went out and just like we're doing here, we're talking to, you know, our group, and I just started reaching out to everybody who was carrying any kind of paint or paint product. And I used to go up to Portland all the time and visit the Portland stores, and that's where I got the idea from. And with that information, just talking with their managers, what their profit margin was, and the little bit of space that it would take up, and those are the numbers I took back to my ED and said, hey, you know, this is something that we could actually make our store perform better on. And like I said, I don't advocate for going around to your boss or going straight to the top. Just that's what I had to do at the time. And so far we did do an appliance load through Silveris, actually, I believe it was, but we barely broke even on that. I think we paid like 18,000 for it and we barely broke even. But everything else we've just made a good profit on. And I will speak to Omaha Distributing. I agree, most of their other products, I don't like speaking ill of them, but they do fall apart. That's why I stick to the paintbrushes, rollers, stuff like that. And I get the Premier series instead of the lower end. But yeah, just, you know, you just got to start small and work up. As I'm not as brave as Nick and go big.
I did the paint and paint sundries first, and then I went big. But yeah, I think it was, you know, we had a drop in sales of appliances. We used to have a lot of appliances donated, and we just weren't getting any, especially refrigerators, and they were like what everybody wanted. And so I was just like, hey, look at our appliance. I could show him, you know, look at our appliance numbers are down. We don't have any. It's, you know, we need to fill up the store somehow. So
refrigerators and washing machines are for us are the two highest selling appliances.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a couple questions for you guys. How do you determine what kind of margin you want to make on purchased product? How much, when you're figuring what brand you're going to carry and what you're going to carry, how much are you looking at the margin you're going to make on that product? I understand the idea of filling in with products that you want to have in stock all the time, like paint, but obviously you don't want it to be a loss leader either. So when you guys are figuring out what you're going to carry, how much of it are you going to carry? How are you figuring out your margins, your markups? How did things like that figure into your equation?
For me, I'll be very honest. It was a stab in the dark, and I just copied off of Portland and said, if they're doing it this way, I'm going to do it the same. But what I did do is I was lucky enough to have somebody who worked for Lowe's on our team as a volunteer, and looked at their profit margins and such. So we looked at, for paintbrushes and stuff, we would like to see about a 50% gain on it. Now, not all product you can do that on. So like the dual rugs, we'll take probably a 25% gain. But I probably wouldn't accept anything less than 10% gain. I mean, and that's stretching it. I mean, I'd want to see a lot more than 10% gain.
Thank you.
I'm in marketing, so this is like not entirely my wheelhouse, but I know I think ours right now is around like 35%. And we recently took a big look at all the purchase product we were doing, because as prices kind of crept up over time, there was not a close enough eye kept on that profit margin, and we thought we were doing like 40% profit margin, and it wound up being some of the items was getting down to like 10%, 15%, which we were not happy with. So it's something you have to, constantly keep an eye on as prices change.
Absolutely, because I mean, if you're only making 10% profit on it, what donated items can you put in its place and make 100%? So if I'm only making 10%, it's only got to take up like a square foot of my store. Like it cannot grow any bigger than that. So that's definitely something to look at.
Now, when you say profit, how are you defining profit? Is that after all expense, rent, everything, or is that just I bought it for $1 and I'm selling it for $1.10, so I'm making 10%? I mean, how are you expensing that on the other side too? Because you're paying utilities, you're paying rent, you're paying employee time to handle it. This is where I see every ReStore handling it totally different. And sometimes I don't understand how they're doing their math, because I've got expense for that square foot. And if I look at my store over time and I say, okay, here's all my sales, here's all my expenses, I'm making a 25% profit margin on my whole store over the year, or 20% profit margin, whatever it is. And then I add a 50% cost of goods on top of that. Unless I start doing some different math for my purchased product as opposed to my donated product, the numbers don't always bear out.
So
I usually figure when I've heard, and I got this from when I used to manage restaurants. When you buy something, you got to figure you have to pay for operation costs, you have to pay for labor, and then you have to pay for the actual product. So whatever the product is, if you're not charging 3 times as much as they cost you, you're going to lose money.
So
So
I never.
I'll
if
totally
it's
agree.
something that's real expensive, so like for instance, the butcher block, they're charging us $100 and some dollars for it. I can't remember because we haven't ordered it in a while, but so we're not jumping up to 300 off the 100. It was like only a little over two times what it cost us, because they're still making a huge chunk of money off it.
Yeah.
So the way I always look at it is I never, especially with the paint sundries and the paint, I never buy those to be huge money cash cows. Those are the staple products that attract the people to come back in. And while they're there, they're going to buy something else. That's what they're there for. So it's kind of hard to, put that number on what is the actual cost when you're adding all this, other costs involved in your other expenses. But as long as I'm not losing money, or as long as I'm selling it for more than what I got it for, then I'm okay.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, and I understand that concept. It just, when I hear people talk about purchase product at all the national conferences and the Western regional conferences, I've heard so many different ways people do math. I just wanted to get your guys' opinions on how you look at it, because I carry paint, and I'm making a little bit on it. I'm probably making 15-20% on it, but it keeps people coming in my store, and that's how I look at it. But then I see more and more stores going to more and more purchased product, and that's where I start to hem and haw a little bit, because even if it attracts people in my store, if too big a percentage of my store becomes low returning stuff, then I'm not attracting people into as much high returning stuff. So I'm trying to figure out what our balance is going to be, for lack of a better term, about what we stock and what we don't, and what we buy and what we don't. So
I think Scott, on the basic principle of selling and margin, because you're talking about kind of two different things, like within the store, because the benchmark for your store is $40 per square foot, right? So
Yeah.
you're not going to put anything in the store that's not going to generate at least $40 per square foot. But margin is calculated by the cost of the item. First, it's what you sell it for minus the cost divided by the cost. That actually gives you what the margin is.
okay.
That's not necessarily going to say profit, but you could adjust really quickly to realize that if you're selling it at a loss on the margin or close to the margin, you're not going to make any money. So really, like Vision Paint, And the accessories, the way big retailers work it is, you know what, you got the big product, which is the paint. You're not gonna make as much on the paint, but you're gonna kill it on the accessories. So that's why when Lee Jones came into play, and now they've kind of like vanished, you're making 100% on the paint. If you're selling paint for $24.95 and you're buying it for like $12 or less, you're making 100%. But a paintbrush that you're paying 12 cents on and you're selling for $1.50, which is way below low. Nobody can touch those prices. You're talking about thousands of percents of markup on that.
Right.
That's where the money is. They can't walk out of here without the tape and the paintbrush when they buy a can of paint. So the training of the sales reps on the floor, of getting them adjusted to the fact of, hey, they bought the paint, but here's the package. Because if they leave here and go to Lowe's and buy the tape for $5.99, $6.99 when they could have got it from us for $2.99, that's where the loss is for the store. You know, so just
It also goes in, back into the marketing, and displays in your store. The way I have mine is I have all my paint supplies surrounding my paint.
yeah.
And you can't pick up a can of paint without looking at a paintbrush or a roller. So it just forces them to look at that. But the other thing I want to mention, Scott, is something that came up with my office manager. And when you look at numbers, it's extremely hard to look at your numbers because you're always going to look like you're behind. When you put out the initial cost for paint, you're never, and until the day you stop carrying it, you're never going to look like you're catching up.
Yeah.
So it's always going to look that way. So it's something that you have to put in the back of your head, but really don't pay attention to it because you're always going to be looking at a negative and you have to look at the positive.
We
So
look
from
at
the
that
standpoint
problem.
of paint, from Vision, as you know, they'll ship the stuff for free over 200 gallons.
Mhm.
So right there, you're not inheriting any cost in shipping, and that's what normally will hit you pretty hard, is like shipping the product over. So you got zero on that, and you've got the ability to float 30 to 45 days on that. So if you can turn the product, technically you should be ahead. Because ideally for me, my thought is to get 300 gallons, sell 250 gallons before the next order comes in and before I pay the invoice. So I'm floating the invoice, no shipping. You're just out there floating with it. That money's already in a Swiss bank account. You're running with it already. You know, it's not like you pay right when you get the shipment. It's pushed back. So
Don't they give you a discount if you pay right away though?
Why would you do that for 3% when you can like float it for 45 days? I mean, Christina, all those guys are great. They'll let you sell the product, sell through the product. Yeah.
Yeah, we had the same issue when I first came on board a couple of years ago about, we paid $15,000-$20,000 for this purchase product that wasn't going to sell in the next, let's say month. And so what they did was, and I couldn't understand it. I'm like, how am I getting charged for something I haven't even sold yet? Like something doesn't seem right. So now we move it into an asset bucket and the stores don't get charged until it actually sells. So it cost, if they sold 300 pieces in the month of August, whatever the cost was for those 300 pieces is what it's balanced against. And it actually makes it much more accurate as to what they're selling and how much they're making every month.
Tricky.
Thank you for all that info.
Yeah, this has been a good discussion, I think, on purchase product. I appreciate it, guys. Any other purchase product discussion, tips, tricks, ideas before we move on to the next topic?
Is anybody doing flooring of any
We
type
are.
other than area rugs?
We're getting it from Silveris, and we're doing mostly vinyl plank from them. And it's simply because we're in Florence where it rains all the time. So vinyl plank is the best flooring to go with for this area. So it sells really well. So right now I've got probably 3 pallets worth out there on the floor, and we're replacing it on a regular basis. So switch up the colors now and then.
Excellent. You're happy with the quality and the price?
Yeah, we got a few, when we first started, we got a few, that, the quality wasn't the best, but we also had, some contractors that were putting a big thick pad underneath it, thinking that was gonna work. And guess what? It don't. Then they would complain that that doesn't stay together. I said, well, of course not. You put a foam rubber pad underneath it, and it's not going to do that. So some of it is educating people as they're buying. But the most of the product that we've been getting is stone core, the rigid core. It's been pretty good movers.
Excellent.
Right, we are about halfway into our meeting, so I think we should probably move on to our next topic, if you guys are okay with that. Accepted donations, conditions, that kind of stuff. I'm interested to know what you guys are accepting and what you're not accepting, condition of stuff you're accepting, that kind of stuff. I've gone to, you know, so many different stores, and everything in one store might look brand new and super shiny, and then I'll go into another store and stuff's piled on top of each other with rips and tears and things like that. So it's a wide range of stuff that I've seen out there in the ReStore world. So I just kind of want to get an idea of what you guys are doing.
Well, for me being new to the ReStore, getting rid of some of the technology stuff. So not accepting computers, radios, CD players, TVs, mattresses, of course, just things that we don't feel, you know, things that when you replace them, you replace them for a reason. Other things where I'm kind of shying away from now is sporting goods. We've never done exercise equipment, but now sporting goods are becoming that way as well. They become a catch-all for things that people just don't need or don't want anymore. You know, I was telling one of my volunteers this morning at our meeting that, you know, if you're looking for a pair of skis, technology's moved so far. Unless you're buying somebody their first pair of skis or clubs, you're not looking at Goodwill or ReStore for them. You know, so that's been my take on the couple months I've been here. Just the things that are going out of style for a reason. That and lighting is, I don't know, a lot of people say they have trouble with lighting, the hardwired stuff that people are remodeling, and it just becomes, you get inundated with it. So, you know, we have a space for it, but you know, the styles, you know, all the 90s stuff is coming in now. So we have to stop accepting it so much.
They were the same way. We look at what's selling and what doesn't sell. Like, for instance, brass lamps, can't give them away. I can make some wind chimes with them. That's about it. Okay. Clear glass, lead crystal, which everybody used to collect. Again, unless you're using target practice, I can't give it away. So I look at what sells and what doesn't sell anymore. I don't have enough room in my store to take stuff that isn't going to sell. Yeah, I look at safety a lot. So we don't take mirrors that aren't framed, which irks some people, but if I explain it to them, they understand. But sometimes it's stuff that people will say, well, I can get water heaters somewhere at one of the other ReStores. And I say, yeah, but they have a big section that they can put that stuff in. Some of it is just how much space you have for the item. We don't take the really huge, I mean, I'd love to sell French doors, but I can't fit them in my area. So it all depends on how much space is available and what it is. Now, that being said, I've had some things come in that I know I can make $500 or $600 on it, and I'll find a place for it. One way or another, I'll find a place for it. But that's basically what we look at, is whether it's safe, whether it's going to be something that'll sell.
So my staff sometimes gets mad at me because I'm of the mindset of take most everything and say thank you. With the idea of, I'm not trying to upset a customer or a donor, you know, and then they'll go tell their friends that the ReStore sucks, don't go there. you know, especially because we had a newer store in a slower area. So I just really wanted to take, you know, especially, you know, think if it's something that's on our list of items that we accept, but we have a million of them and we're full, you know, I will still accept it because it's not the donor's fault that I can't sell what I have. You know what I mean? So that's always kind of been my mindset. Yeah, we go to the dump a lot, but I also give away a lot of stuff for free, which also, you know, attracts a lot of people. You know, so I have a whole free section out front of the stuff that we accept that isn't that good. And you know, it's working for me. You know, I hate the '90s lamps and the, you know, the gold, you know, lighting and that kind of thing, but we recycle that. You know, we probably make $100 to $200 a month off recycled light fixtures. You know, just taking them to metal recycling. So.
I wanted to jump in since I'm in the marketing realm versus necessarily straight up in the ReStore all the time. Something that we're doing, just those, like we were talking about the 90s like kitchen light that has the 5 globes on it. This year, I saw this. I'm all about repurposing and trying to get like the youth involved in the ReStores and the habitat and all the things. We're doing a like ghost and like pumpkin painting workshop in our ReStore. So like, if it'll be family friendly, people can come. We've have a volunteer that's like taking these lights apart. Obviously, they were going to probably go in the trash anyways, so at least the glass is being saved. And when I'm in the ReStores, what I typically tell people is like our no list is probably the more important thing, because same thing. If someone calls and is like, I have this X, Y, and Z thing that we can make several $100s on, we're for sure gonna find a spot for it. But you know, some of the things where it's like used faucets, like we just like legally apparently can't take those things. So there's just things that I always like steer people to the no list. And then we've also started a very kind of strict policy on donations of people are welcome to come to the back and like bring their car full of stuff, but we just let them know on the phone, like without photos and things. I can't promise that we'll say yes when you come. So if you were already loading up your stuff to take to the dump or take to Goodwill or go somewhere, please come by. If not, text us a photo, send us an email. And that kind of seems to help people be less aggravated when they come. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but we have 50 couches. I can't take one more couch. We just don't have space for it. So trying to like kind of retrain our staff on like, the first thing you say is thank you. Thank you for thinking of us. Like, because we probably maybe weren't even their first choice, like, but they're like, I've got baseboards. So yeah, that's kind of our no list, I would say, is like the thing that we guide people towards the most, is like, these are the things we just absolutely can't or won't take. Blinds with cords.
I think one of the things you see from like your store standpoint, if you are hitting the mark and the community is getting it, as far as what you guys are taking and what you're not taking, is when you come in the morning and see what's dumped on your front doorstep, right? That kind of tells you they're getting it or they're not getting it. Because that dumping, it's messy. And you get, you know, we have the buy mattress program in play here, and we used to still get mattresses dumped in our yard, dumped in our parking lot. Toilets, you know, when the state converted to, hey, you don't need 5 gallons to flush the toilet, we want to do it in a cup. All those big tank toilets start showing up on your sidewalk and stuff. It's just a different spin, and I think that's the true indicator if they're getting it or they're not, like what you're seeing in the morning. So just a thought.
Yeah, I feel like even sorry, hold on.
You can try again.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Because I'm in the same room as Miriam and it echoes very loud. Hold on, give me 1 second.
I think one of you will just need to turn your volume all the way down.
Right, go ahead. Try to go over in a minute.
Okay, we hear sound coming from Miriam.
You may not come over here. Hold on.
Okay, trying again. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So with us, because I just wanted to mention, because it just recently happened, we have donation pickups. We have 2 trucks currently working. We unfortunately are going to be closing down one of our stores in Duarte and opening well, not opening, but only keeping Pasadena. So we had to go through our donation guidelines very thoroughly to make sure that whatever we're accepting at Pasadena, we're not eventually throwing in the dump. So we do have to be a little bit picky. As an example, there was a donation that we recently had on the schedule. Obviously, we asked for photos to make sure, like, for example, a couch has no stains, rips, any smoking, odor, or pet hair, etc. Although something that you can't see through a photo is odor. So there was one time where our drivers went and they mentioned that they stepped foot into the home and it smelled like pee. Thinking that it was probably the floor that smelled like that. As soon as he got in the truck with the couch, he noticed it was a couch that had that smell. So it is very difficult for our drivers to decline items. I have heard stories of them and donors giving them a hard time, but in these type of scenarios, I mean, they're trained to gently say no to these, and this is why I also included the donation guidelines and alternative donation resources for when they do decline items. It kind of gives the donor like a guideline to see if there's any other area that can probably take it and not just say directly no, and we're not going to take it and not going to help you. So those 2 the 2 pages that I sent in do typically help when we decline items.
Yeah, those are really thorough and clean and really nice guides. So thank you for providing those. They're in the chat. I'll be sure to send those out with notes. That is a really great point about not being able to see smells.
And I've always been, if someone says, can I send you a picture of the item? I've always told them you can, but it still doesn't guarantee that we will accept the item. It's all based on a visual inspection when it arrives here or when our drivers get there. Luckily, we no longer do free residential donation pickup, so we don't have to send our driver out into smelly people's homes and pick up smelly couches. But we still get them delivered to us.
That's resupply, or how are you getting it delivered?
I'm just saying that they either bring it in themselves or we do work with resupply for our residential pickups as well. We still do pickups, but we only do commercial pickups now.
Oh, commercial. Okay. Well, we had to institute a dump fee, which has been pretty successful for us. That you get out there and you get stuck, where a customer gets a little irate or gets a little aggressive. We've got like a list of some of those items. So if it is that couch situation, for instance, and they're just really pressing the driver calls in and we'll authorize them, let the customer know it's going to be $150 for us to take it. Because you got to understand, it's $200 if we make the stop there and we don't do anything. It's like writing a check and just giving it to them. So $200, you're stuck. That's sunk cost. If we can pull that thing out for $150, which we have real good take rate on people just feeling like, oh yeah, and unfortunately I don't take a check. So it's going to be cash money or we're going to take the card over the phone, because that kind of player, we've had a few bounce checks like come through. We don't even accept checks in the store anymore because of the bounce check situation. But the cash, typically they either put up and we're good to go with it. Because now we've at least recouped some cost of being out there getting that item. The only downside is we've got to now take it out to Cadley at a dump site to dump it. But that's a part of that 150 that, we're billing them. So it's worked pretty good for us.
See, that's one of the things with us is that we're in a shopping center. So you got the parking lot in front of us and you got the residential area behind us. If we have too much stuff back there, we get people complaining to code enforcement saying that it looks like trashy back behind our building. So we can't have very much stuff back there. So we can't take a lot of stuff that's just going to end up going to the dump. We tell people all the time, our goal is to reduce the amount of stuff that's going to the landfill. Our
Yeah.
goal is not to pay everybody's landfill fee. But we have it part of the verbiage when somebody schedules a pickup, that sight unseen, we can't guarantee anything. It sounds like something that we want, but the drivers know what our standards are, so they have final discretion on what goes on the truck. And if they know it right up front, they're usually okay with it.
And about how many pickups a week do you do, Floyd?
We do 4 pickups a day, 4 days a week.
So 16.
So, yeah. So, and that's the normal. There'll be some times when we have it booked up, and then somebody says they have this thing and it's worth a couple $1,000. So, guess where we're going? We're gonna go pick that up. So, and it also depends on what's going on in the truck. I mean, if you go into this one place and it's got 3 rooms full of furniture, and you go to another place and it's only got 1 chair, I might throw another one in there. That's if it's someplace close that has a couple more pieces of furniture or something. We get a lot of furniture here, so we have to pay attention to that. And we tell everybody, just like was said earlier, we have part of the verbiage, upholstered furniture. If it has any rips, tears, stains, pet damage, or smoke damage, we can't accept it. If it's particle board isn't good for the coast, especially if it's that white garage cabinet stuff that you lean on it wrong, it's going to fall apart. So they know that the drivers, if it's something like that, the driver's going to be sending me pictures for me to okay it before they'll take it. But the big part is I try not to tick anybody off. Let them know right off the bat what we will and won't take. I've had somebody pull up a trailer full of rust. I mean, that's all it was in his truck was a bunch of rust held together with a little bit of metal. And he said, "No, you're a nonprofit ReStore. You have to take anything I bring to you." Well, no, I don't. Thanks for thinking of us, but I'm not taking that. But a lot of it is just how you talk to the customers. So it's nice to be able to say yes on everything. But like I said, in some situations, you just can't.
I wonder if anyone else uses the 80-20 rule. That's something our ReStore director is big on. It's if 80% of it's good, we take the remaining 20% to keep the donor happy. That's like his golden rule.
Yes, we use it.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not just us, he's big on it. But yeah, that's kind of how we wind up with most of our items that would not normally be on our accepted list. We're having this discussion all the time, especially for our pickups. The stores want to have a little bit more restrictions on things like style, like they don't want old floral couches or that 90s oak furniture. So, but when you tell someone we don't want your furniture because it's oak, they're like, what are you talking about? They don't love that. So, but that's something we've been able to loosen up on as we are also starting to give things away for free. We have intermittently, we have Free Furniture Friday, which has been very popular. We have like a line around the building when we do that. So that's kind of where we keep those things and we put them on the floor. And if they don't sell, then we know there's somewhere else for them to go besides the dump. And for the most part, we've only done 2 so far, but almost everything is taken. We even had a smelly couch. It was the last thing that was taken that day, but it was taken. So that helps us be a little bit more flexible with our criteria.
Do you guys know the ones that are doing pickups? Do you know what it costs you guys every time you show up at a donor store?
I do not. I know we recently stopped doing free pickups because of the cost. We are charging $40 flat for all pickups now. And it was because of the prices were just way high for us.
Yeah, we're charging. Sorry, you forget that it echoes, but we're charging $20 per pickup.
We don't charge for pickup. It is a free pickup. We do on Vonago ask for you know, a donation if they're inclined to, but we don't have a rate that says, yeah, it's gonna be $50 if we go here. Now we do deliver, if we deliver product out of the store, then that is a fee for that, based on mileage, based on min, based on that type of thing, and we'll work those calculations. If it is just in the county, Fresno County, then it's just a flat 75, and that's just a perk. Helps us get the product out quicker, plus it's a convenience for them as well, not having to go rent a truck and do all that stuff. Otherwise, you're sitting on product.
Miriam had a question in the chat. Is for the dump fee, is it per item?
Yes, it's per item. So what you don't want is to take a broken dryer and then them reach back into their shed and start going, well, I got these other 40 items. Can I like load this on there with it? No, it's not how it works. It's just that one item.
Yeah. Yeah, in July, we stopped doing the free residential pickups, and only residential pickups we offer through resupply. We just wanted to focus on our corporate donors. We have a lot of hotels around here in the Monterey Bay area that are donating, you know, large amounts of furniture from Pebble Beach and stuff like that. So we want to make sure that we can serve them effectively and have them, you know, either same day turnaround or next day turnaround for them, or other corporate donors has been really successful. And to be honest, we don't see. We had, like I said, we started that in July. The last month was great. Our stores are still packed full of stuff. So not doing residential pickups at all isn't hurting us.
It's interesting. In our area, our truck goes out. We have 2 trucks that go out, and we'll do anywhere from 4 to 8 stops a day. That doesn't include our commercial pickups. That's residential. And no, I honestly don't know what it costs us to send our truck out. I haven't done the math. But what I do know is if we stopped our residential pickups, we would tank. We rely heavily on our residential. We don't have enough corporate entities around us to support us like that.
Scott, to give you an idea, in August, of the people that called to ask for donation pickups, I would say at least half or more still brought the items in. So they either found a way, rented a truck, or, you know, they have to get rid of it, right? And we were the only ones in like the entire Monterey County doing any type of donation pickup. So if there's no one out there, they still need to get it out.
Right. Interesting.
And it was costing us $250 every time we showed up at someone's door.
Quick question, because we still do residential pickups here. How are you guys calculating besides just manpower, hourly rate, and then obviously fuel? How do you guys calculate how much it's costing you to show up at the door?
Yeah, that's it. It's, you know, manpower, fuel, insurance, maintenance, you know, all that. And we were and we looked at it where, you know, we weren't, you know, we were definitely on half of the pickups, we weren't getting $250 worth of stuff. You know, we'd pick up one couch, or we'd pick up a dining set that we're going to sell for $150, you know, so it just didn't make sense to us at all. We were losing money doing these pickups. So.
Yeah, see, for us around here, because it's such a small area, we don't spend that much money on pickups. It doesn't cost us that much money. My labor is about $80 a day for doing the pickups, and the fuel, because we're in such a small area, doesn't cost us that much. But we still have to pay attention to. We got St. Benny's a block away from us. They do pickups. We got the Humane Society down the road. They do pickups. So we don't want to shut them off because them other guys will snag our stuff. So, but we do charge for deliveries, and that fee is hasn't really changed in a while. So we're probably going to be revisiting that, how much we're charging for that pretty soon. But it also depends on how far away on how much we're gonna charge too, so.
Is that curbside delivery you guys are both offering? Like you're not going in people's homes and
Oh
putting
yeah,
it-
we're going into homes.
No, we're garage or, yeah, pretty much curbside. Yeah, we're
Right.
from home.
Yeah, we require it to be outside location, same thing, carport, garage, curbside, driveway.
We did that
and-
during COVID, but the biggest thing for us is that the majority, not the average, but the majority of the population here is over 65. So it's you're talking about people that are in their 70s and 80s and they just can't do it. So we during the COVID, what we saw was donations dropped dramatically because people just if we couldn't come in and get it, they had no way of getting it out. So I know I went to one place and the lady had a spiral staircase that was about 3 feet across, and she wanted me to bring a great big hutch off the second floor, and I said, no, man, we can't do that. She said, well, you can take it off the balcony with a rope. And I said, no, we can't do that either. I'm not going to put my guys in a danger to do something like that. But we don't do installs. We don't install washers or dryers. We've had people want us to take arm rails off or handrails off from stairs so that something will fit down the stairs. We won't do anything like that.
I think the benefit in the pandemic, we switched to curbside only pickups. Everything had to be outside or carport. And I think the reason that was successful for even those people that couldn't do it, then we partnered with resupply. So, there was another option for them to come out, and those people will go in and out of your homes, up and down stairs, all that, disassemble, disconnect. So
that's exactly what we've relied on is ever since we went through with resupply. I always throw that in there, if this is an option for you, this is another option. They will come in, take everything, do what it takes to take it out, and it goes to us first, and then it goes on down the line to make sure it stays out of the landfill. That's actually been really successful. And I guess like you, Nick, where you don't do residential pickups, I thought it was going to hit us really hard by not going into people's homes, but by having that backup, we haven't seen a decline at all.
my resupply guys, now that we don't do it, he's super busy. He hired another guy, another truck, so he's picked up that slack. They're doing, they come to each of our stores 2 or 3 times a day.
So I guess it should be like stated that understanding resupply is that is a paid service. That's not like what we do. They're gonna charge the customer, and they're gonna charge them good to get that stuff out for us, which it's a win for them and a win for us because we're not paying to get the stuff, but the customer's paying.
See, and I always caveat with, I always state, they're a fee for service, but I do not know how much they charge, because I don't want to say they charge too much or too little. So I would just say, I don't know how much they charge. You would have to contact them for that price.
It's always says every situation is different, but what I try to tell them, at least our guys, is decently affordable. So I try to tell the customer, like, look, if you hired any of the other junk haulers that are going to take your stuff to the dump, they're going to charge you either the same or more than this guy, so I don't know what he's going to charge you, but it's going to be less than that.
That'd be nice to have a business like that around me. We don't have anyone like that.
So with resupply, you don't have to look. We didn't look for the hauler. You just contact resupply and say, hey, we want to be a part of this program. And they go out and they find the hauler. They get them interviewed, make sure they're all insured, and it's hands off for you. They just say, hey, we found you a hauler. This is your guy. And then you get updates of when they're bringing you stuff and what they're bringing you.
It was very, very painless to get and partner with them, and like you, Nick, I mean, in the beginning you said you had a fallout with your original driver. You went back, changed it. All I have to do is go to resupply and say, hey, Micah, who's our hauler, haven't been seeing much of him lately. Do you know why? And they'll reach out to Micah, and I have Micah's phone number, so I can always reach out to him and say, hey, what's going on? So it's a really good thing as far as I'm concerned.
And it doesn't cost you anything?
Nothing.
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 In fact, it was so good that my executive director really came down on me. She thought it was too good to be true. She goes, "There's got to be a scam somewhere. We need to make sure this is legit. I mean, we have to make sure we're not associated with them." Like, hey, now I can show you the receipts that they provide. That everything is documented. We get pictures, you name it. We have a website that we log in on. It didn't cost us a dime.
Good to know.
I'll be sure to send out the information on resupply. We've I think shared about them in the past, but we kind of have people coming and going and a long time in between meetings. So I'd be happy to share that information out in notes again.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Anything else on donations before we move on to our open forum? No. All right. Is there anything else anybody would like to discuss? Any itching questions or topics?
I have one, but I'm going to call out Mr. Morris. When are you come see me?
Getting ready. We are going to hold a fundraising event in the ReStore in the beginning of October. We decided that instead of putting on a gala where we're spending $30,000 to make an additional $20,000, we're going to try making the $20,000 without spending the $30,000. So we are going to transform our store floor for a night into a homecoming event. So that means that for the next month, I'm not coming to see you, even though I desperately want to, because you're doing some stuff I really want to look at. But it's looking like mid-October at this point, because I just got hit with other duties as assigned in a big sort of way.
That's fine. I've gotten slammed with a bunch of stuff myself, so I was going to call you in touch bases anyway.
But yeah, no, you're on my list because I really want to see what you're doing with the barcoding.
Yeah.
And I really want to see if I'm really trying to figure out a scheduling platform for our truck that I like, an online scheduling platform. And I haven't found it yet. So I want to see what you're doing there too. So can I ask one other donation question real quick before we move on?
Yeah.
How many of you guys are just wiping out like certain classes of furniture? Like I haven't taken desks for a long time. And I'm starting to look at items like hutches and armoires that take up a ton of space on the floor and really seem to be selling to the younger generation. Does anybody have thoughts on that? On just classes of furniture as a whole?
Yeah, we stopped taking like office desks, like any commercial type of, we haven't taken that stuff in years. We'll take like small residential, home desks, that kind of thing. Hutches, I mean, I don't have a china cabinet or a hutch in my store that isn't under $75. They're all super cheap and they move pretty quickly because we don't price them high,
Yeah, I don't have one over $75 and I'm still having a hard time selling them.
Well, luckily we have the half off sales and furniture sales, but they go
Facebook Marketplace. Pop those babies on there, $50. Scott, really quick, Morris, I would love to hear more about your event because our affiliate doesn't do like a crazy big gala, but we do a large event as well. And my director of business development and I are doing some like donor and volunteer like appreciation things in the ReStore. But I fully feel like the ReStore is such a great space to like have an actual event. So I would really love to hear.
Yeah, I'll type my email into the message.
Great.
Just shoot me an email and I will connect you with our marketing and development director, Annie. And she'd love to talk to you about it because she knows more about it than I do.
Okay.
I'm grunt force labor at this point. I'm happy to do it.
Colleen, we hold lots of events inside of our store. Like the local chamber of commerce hosts like a national a yearly nonprofit mixer. So we host that at our ReStores. Also like with the cities, one of our stores like right on Main Street in downtown Watsonville. And they have, art and wine walks or Halloween, so we are always make sure we're always a part of those. And we have live music. My driver also is a DJ on the side, so he'll come in and set up his DJ equipment.
That's cool.
It's great. But I've
Cool.
even
Do you list those on your website at all? I just like, I'm trying to figure out how we get more just different people into the stores. So
Yeah.
things like that.
They're sometimes listed on there. It depends on the event.
Okay, cool. I'll check it out.
And then Colleen, did you guys just open a new store?
So our Paso store, it's been a year since it reopened. So it was in a different location, but it's been like, I don't know, the last 3 or 4 months, it's like people are like, oh, you guys are open again. Like they didn't know we were there. And like I said, we've kind of gone through some staff changes and like I'm bringing some different marketing ideas. Like we just started an Instagram a couple months ago, and that's been like really taking off. So, but yeah, we have 2. We have the Slow store and the Paso store. Yeah.
I just wanted to call out in the chat. I had asked if anyone is planning to go to the large ReStore conference or the East Coast ReStore conference. It looks like a few folks might be headed there. Always encourage folks to try to connect if you can at those events. I know that the large ReStore conference doesn't include a large swath of ReStores, so, but.
Yeah, the price was very expensive for the one in Greater LA.
I actually got talked to by my ED about, I decided I was not going to go to the East Coast or the ReStore Symposium this year. I was just taking a break from traveling, and she actually got on me and said, you need to be going to these things. So I'll be going next year, just not this year. I've got too much going on with Thrivent and volunteering and stuff on that end. So, but next year I'll be going.
Yeah, we'll be going to the Atlanta thing. So should be interesting. See how the East Coast does stuff. It's odd going to these things. It's odd going to these things because there's usually is a bunch of people from big towns and big cities, and it's a completely different animal from what we deal with on a day-to-day basis here in small podunk town in Oregon.
You'd be surprised. I've been to Atlanta several times to the conferences, and even when I went to the East Coast conference, there is, you'd think like in New Jersey and Philadelphia and all that, I mean, Bucks County, they talk about like multi-million-dollar ReStores, like $5 million ReStores. And right next to them is a ReStore that is still only doing like 750,000 a year. You know, I mean, it's a full gamut of everybody. So it's really good to network with those people, from little tiny stores on up to huge stores. I started, every time I go to Atlanta or something, I start traveling around and going to different ReStores there just to tour, just to see.
And just keep in mind, we still plan to host the Western Region Conference here in Portland, Oregon, in April of 2025, so next year. And hopefully we'll see all your beautiful faces there.
I'll be there.
Oh, shucks.
Gonna try. Well, we got about 4 more minutes left. Is there anything else, or we can give you a little bit more of your time back for your day? No? All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you all coming. Thank you for all that great discussion. I definitely took away some items. I'm going to see about mattresses, that's for sure. So I appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye, Scott.